Welcome back to episode 2 of Analyst Insider with me, Jet J. Today we're going to be talking to a representative from North America. He goes by the name of Fire and he is the data analyst for CLG. This guy has a real breadth of experience and you will learn a lot through the course of this interview, I can guarantee it. Now remember, we are self-sponsored by Itero Gaming. We've just brought out a new AI-powered drafting coach, which means you will always maximize your chance of winning by picking the right champion every time in solo queue. You can find that at itero.gg. In the meantime, on with the show.
Hey man, how you doing?
Very well, thanks. How about yourself?
I mean, doing great. Can't
Yeah.
complain.
Awesome. So like normal, what I'd like to kick off with is just a bit of a history of your background in esports and outside of esports.
So, I mean, from esports, I would say I'm in this scene for like almost 6 or 7 years already, like pretty long way. I mean, I started in Spanish teams. I'm actually only one Spanish team. I was in Kiev. It's a team that then become Origin, Barcelona, then BCN squad. And yeah, I stayed like for a really long time there. Like it's pretty unusual in esports, to be honest. Like I was there for 3 years, uh, and then I was like kind of feeling that I needed to do a jump or just quit esports and do the things on the other side. I think it's something that a lot of people like experience in the scene. Then had the look that to go to the French League to Gamers Origin with my boy Naruterador, and I only spent there like the half of the year because then uh, a guy I was working before in Kiev was in Schalke Academy, and Schalke was needing like an analyst for summer split in 2019, and they did like this like the common thing, or they published that they were looking for an analyst. I, this is so funny because I was really tilted at the moment because I was just getting a lot of rejection from the LCS and LEC teams, and I just sent like a PDF and didn't put like anything in the subject or anything, just like fire. That's it. This guy knew me and he was like, okay, yeah, we have like a lot of candidates, but I knew this guy is good. Uh, just because of that, I just got like the chance of having the interview and everything. And it was really funny because when Team Reinhardt, the now is in Excel, he was in Schalke before. I was doing like, an interview with him, and he was like, "Okay, but I can't show this email to Schalke people. Like this is so unprofessional." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm so sorry, but I was so upset about my life at the moment." And then I did like a proper email, like a presentation of myself, and they were really glad to have me there in Berlin, and that was my first LEC experience in 2019. Just summer split in Schalke. We did pretty well. Like we got like the third position, but we entered in Gauntlet, so we didn't get to Worlds. And then I joined Misfits for a year and a half. Last year summer split, I was in Cloud9, uh, and now I'm in CLG and doing great things.
Awesome. That's an incredibly diverse background that you've got there. I'm particularly interested in that thing that you were saying about how that you were struggling to get a role in the LEC, and the way that you ended up getting in was obviously the email being well a problem, but certainly one of the advantages you had is that you knew someone and that person knew you, and they said, "Okay, this guy's good, and I'd be happy to take him in." Do you feel that that plays a big part in getting roles in analyst jobs? Is how well you network, how well you meet people, etc.?
And for sure, it's not like the main thing because analyst position, I think, is one of the when we're talking about data analyst, is more technical position for sure. I mean, scout analyst is not that technical and it's a bit more ambiguous. But yeah, for sure, like having contacts or meeting people or just working with people and doing great. So, I mean, I have the luck that I work with a lot of people in my career, but these people then jumped to better places because they were really good, and me working with them made me better, and they already knew that I was good and that I was like improving so fast when working with people that is good, and then I just had this kind of luck. So, but yeah, for sure, like knowing people is a big factor.
Yeah, I think it's a common misconception that people think, oh, he only got that job or she only got that job because they knew X or Y. But the point is that that person will only actually bring you in if they've worked with you before and they think you're really good, right? They're not going to, oh, I
Yeah,
worked with them before, so therefore they have the job. It's, I worked with them before, I know how good they are, therefore they can come into
yeah,
the job.
and sometimes I mean could be someone better for the position, obviously, obviously. But like in Spain, we have one phrase that is like, uh, it's better to be with someone bad, but you know him, that good that you don't know him. I don't know how to say it in English, but in Spain it has like a lot of sense. Like there
Yeah,
is.
yeah, I know the one. I know what you mean. And talking of working with good people, I looked at your history before we jumped on, and this I think you pronounce them Kif, right?
Yeah.
Kiyf. I was looking at their roster around the time that you were there. And I don't know if you worked directly with these guys, but Inspired, Exmate, Arome, Kazi, Labrov, Zanzara, right? It was a pretty
Yeah,
stacked roster,
I
right?
mean, we were one of the teams that, if you go back, like a lot of LEC players that have crossed through Kiev. I have Inspired, for example, only played one game because he was sub at the moment. but
Yeah.
but yeah, like Karsi Lavrov, Sace, who was Orome, like a lot of these players is were in Kiev.
Was that because of luck, or did you have some sort of cracked way of finding talented players that were potentially going to blow up?
I mean, we were doing like pretty heavy trials at the time, and me and the manager, we were both like the whole roster and coaches were like changing every split, basically. Like we had like a bunch of people in spring, and then all the teams were picking from ours because we didn't have like the biggest budget or everything. So, but I think we did a pretty good job, like looking for talent in other regional leagues, like the Balkan League, or the German league at the time was not that big. So we were doing like a really, really good scouting job.
Awesome. So just bringing us back into present day, could you give us an idea of the sort of things you get up to in CLG?
So nowadays in CLG, I'm just working a bit more in the data side. Just like working with bias, doing like this screen data job, like some reports, um, this everything, like just the daily stuff. There's just like kind of maintaining this and just like trying to develop some things that we in the coaching staff find interesting to have in the in the team. But for example, in C9, my role was completely different. I was working as a scout analyst. I didn't have to touch any single line of code, and I mean, probably was the happiest moment in my career. but,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, when it comes to analysts, there's like a different bunch of position that it really depends on what the coaching staff needs.
Right. Some of the feedback we had after the first interview with Dimitri was that we may not have gone into enough detail where it came to things like what's the difference between a data analyst and a scout analyst. So I'm hoping you might be able to help us out here. Could you just define what a scout analyst role is?
Sure. Like scout analyst, at least for me, for what I've experienced, like in C9 and other teams, is like you're a person that just focus on the game. Obviously, you have like a background of data that other people is giving to you. You know, like you don't have to process it and everything. You just have some reports, you have some games, you mix it everything, and you prepare like something that is like from the data and from the game concepts is goes together to the coaching and stuff and the players.
Got it. So that would be including things like reading patch notes, watching scrims, reading data
Yeah,
from the
I
data
mean,
analyst.
just getting all the trends from the enemy teams, like just going more in deep in the setups and rotations they might be doing, who they are. I don't know, like when they are with. I mean, let's see when they are having goal at 15 minutes. How are they playing in the map? You know, like you don't know how they're playing in the map by the stats, but you can filter these games by the stats. You know, so these things are combined are really powerful.
Yeah, so it's almost like the guys who are in the data side are drawing the lines, and then you're adding the color, right? You're looking at the
Exactly.
stuff that you can't really see in the data. Um, so one thing from this, which I think is quite interesting, is that in the EU, I have spoken to analysts who are even part time, and they are the only analyst as part of the team. But I'm
Yeah.
finding the more that I'm speaking to the NA teams, they seem to have a broader data analytics function. Have you found, given that you've worked pretty evenly NA EU, have you found a big difference moving over there?
I mean, working in EU sometimes is like I don't know, it's slavery or something like this. You know, it's really painful because they are expecting you to do a scout analyst job, full stack developer job. It's like, bro,
Right.
no. And in NA, there are some teams that they have like less infrastructure. For example, now in CLG, there's me as a data analyst. We have Prussian, that he's working more in the scout analyst side, and we kind of have like some people that's just jumping and going out as uh, helping me to develop some things. But in C9, for example, we have like also we have like a big partnership with Microsoft, so they were like the structure was already kind of done. But I was a scout analyst and I was working with a team of 4 people working with the data. That was insane,
That
by
is
the way.
insane.
I, that was feeling like I don't know. I'm working a football team or something like that. You know, like it was feeling really professional.
Right. Do you think that's just driven by the difference in money, the amount of investment between NA and EU, or is there something else going on behind the scenes?
I mean, might be, but I think also in NA that like the people have changed a lot. Like the people who run the things, like the managers and general managers, etc., have just changed a lot over the years, and new people is coming in, more young people that have watched esports, like not esports, like traditional sports, you know, like. And for when League of Legends was coming in, like this was not that important, you know, like data or whatever. Like they barely know how to play the game, so it wasn't that important. But these people have grown, like just watching how all the analytics has been implementing in the NBA and these things. So these new people coming in, and the thing is that in NA for some reason, like they value more this. I feel like uh, I think is what comes in you. For example, like we have like the same people in the scene for years and years. Like I most of the GMs or whatever, like, or are the same since, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
So
so potentially a bit of a stale meta when it comes to the
yeah, I
background
mean,
stuff, right?
and I don't want to say like these GMs or whatever are bad or are doing a bad job, but they are used to some kind of things
Mm.
that and they don't feel, for example, like sometimes that an analyst is that important, and no, I don't know. Like sometimes I feel that in May the work is more valued.
Yeah. I have noticed that from speaking to both NA and EU. There seems just to be a different mindset on it. I'm interested that you mentioned traditional sports. I know that from reading an interview that you did previously that you have an interest in football, right, and football analytics. Do you think there's still a lot to learn from traditional sports, specifically something like football, or do you think that we're so different that actually there's very little that can be translated?
I mean, I don't know what we could bring from them because it's like pretty different way to get the data or how to use the data or whatever. But I think we have for us should be easier to implement the data. We have like all the data we want. We can have it directly through Riot or whatever. Or just getting the data or developing a tool to get the data should be easier because it's just a computer game, like in football is like the investing and everything that you have to do to get a lot of data is pretty big, to be honest. And here is you don't have to invest that much. You just have to invest in people that knows what they are doing. And sometimes I don't feel like that there's that interest in developing this side in esports. But for sure, they didn't have like the same interest in data in football until some teams started doing it and they saw it like going really really good. Like, I don't know, for example, like C9, and that I told you that is a team that really really works with a lot of data, has a big team of data analysts working for them. I don't know, they have success every year.
Right, exactly. If that's your advantage, then other teams should start investing in it, and then it starts to even the playing fields, right? You would expect.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's a game changer. Maybe not. It's almost a game changer. I would say it is.
I would agree, but I feel like we're both going to be pretty biased about that about that
Yeah, I
question.
mean, for sure. But I mean, I don't know. It's how I feel about it. Like, and it has to be a reason. Because when I go to a team, normally the things go better than when I was in the team. So sometimes the imposter syndrome. But I sometimes I feel I have the contrary. Like, like
Let's call it
you
ego.
know, yeah. I mean, it's like I don't know why, but when I'm around, the things go better. So I might be doing a good job.
Right. Well, I think you've been in enough teams for the correlation. We can start almost arguing towards it. So that's good. Have
No.
you seen anything during your time, maybe at C9, maybe more recently? Obviously, you don't want to give away too many specifics, but have you seen anything that's really advanced? The sort of the artificial intelligence world, or is it more that they're just getting their data infrastructure up and running better than anyone else?
I mean, for me, like it's not only like the tools or whatever. For me, the biggest difference is person that having persons that are really good with data, but they're not that good with the game knowledge or whatever. Having obviously like people that is really good at game knowledge, like the coaches and the players, etc. And having a guy or two guys or whatever that can connect both things. Like for me, that is the biggest the biggest thing because I mean sometimes these people can be even one of the coaches, but normally you I I feel like when the people is more like in playing in one job, everything goes better. And for example, like data things that were game changer in my opinion. For example, I don't know. For me, like last year was pretty big, like having like all the jungle pathings and wars automated, because back then you couldn't do it automated unless you were doing like some kind of computer vision that would fail a lot also, and meant like a lot of work, that you couldn't focus that much in the game. And last year that was a pleasure, like having buyers coming in and just being able to do like all these kind of things was really insane.
Right. So it's a lot to do with the infrastructure of the data, right? How do you actually source it? Where do you get it from? I know working with Bayes is one thing that helps you unlock it, which not a lot of people realize that the people in the pro scene have access to more granular data than us, the random public. So you guys get it. I can't remember if it was per second or per millisecond or something crazy, but you basically get every frame in the game, right? So you can really start doing some pretty exciting things with that.
I mean, and I'm a pretty basic guy, to be honest. Like I don't like to do like a lot of like big things with the data, or like just go crazy or whatever. I feel like the most important you have is the basics, and then you can explore a bit more. Like, but I usually tend to leave this work for off season, like in the time you're not that pressure with the daily things. You can just experiment a bit more and try new things with the data, and maybe you end up with something good, and most of the time you end up with pretty useless things, but it's cool, like at the end of the day, data is nothing without like put it in cooperation with the game. um I don't know. Yeah, but being able to do like a lot of things with this data is really awesome, because as I was telling you, back in the day was impossible, and now feels like completely different world.
A quick break to remind you that this video is self-sponsored by iTero Gaming. I would love for you guys to try out our new artificial intelligence drafting coach. You can try it completely free with no download by going to itero.gg, typing in a draft, type in your account information, and get a recommendation based on that information. Now, there's also a link to the iTero Discord on the site, and you'll be able to submit questions for future interviews there. I'd love to get in as many as possible. Enjoy the rest of the interview. And how did you get your start in the? I assume that you code in Python or something similar. Where did you self teach that, or did you learn that previously before you worked into esports? How did you actually end up learning the technical side?
I mean, the thing is, when I started esports, I was like 16 or 17 years old, so I barely know anything. I didn't even know how to code. Like maybe I have a couple lines in Python, but not anymore. Like this was it. And but I was really good with Excel, with spreadsheets. I don't know. Like I just had like, I don't know. It was really easy for me for some reason. And then that's how I started. And then I started the degree. I studied the video game development, but just 1 year. Then I dropped because I was feeling like I was going to be a slave on the of the industry of the video games. So I didn't want that. And esports at the was getting better for me, so I just could do that. And then I kind of studied like some subjects in data science degree. Just like every year I try to do like one or two, like just like doing it part time. Uh, and yeah, I mean, feel like with this video game development degree, I didn't learn anything, to be honest. Like because I was coding in C, like it was, and I didn't like it. I mean, I'm a guy who codes that don't like to code, to be honest. Like is I mean, I don't like to code when other people tell me what I have to do. But when I have to do whatever I want to do, it's pretty smooth for me. You know, yeah, there I just learned some basics, and then I found Python. I found I like this data data science thing. When I started to just by myself in the off seasons and that, just teaching myself. The point, man, pretty decent. Like by doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people get intimidated by the word coding or Python or whatever. They feel like they need to be some sort of, they're going to have 3 years of CS undergrad before they're going to be able to get from the right API. You can literally learn to grab data from an API in 10 minutes, right, max, and you can start doing some very basic stuff really quickly.
I mean, it's the same. With Python, you can start doing like with the API, you can start doing things like if you are really chill, in a week. If you are not that chill, in 2 days.
Exactly, and it's not difficult, right? It's a very intuitive language to learn. So if anyone else is listening and thinking, I don't want to become an analyst because I don't want to learn to code, all I say is just give it a go for like a day, and you'll realize how simple it is. It's not this sort of mysterious thing that you have to be a genius to do.
Yeah, I mean, comparing when I was doing like this video game development, like I don't know, like my mind was going crazy, like because I don't know, I just did so little, like just some basic coding, like a bit like of the introduction, and then just using a graphic environment, like to do one game. And this one game, like I just remember like my the point when I decided I didn't want it to work in in the industry was like I did one game for 3 months. 2 days before we have to send it, everything crashed, and it was unfixable. And it was like 2 days working every minute, every hour, like no sleep. And I was like, I don't want this. Like,
Right.
and my mind was going crazy. Like I was feeling like I was on drugs or something. Like I was just levitating in my room while I was coding or something. Like it was so painful. So, and with data things, I think you have really complex problems to solve for sure, but I don't feel that pressure. I probably because I'm not working for anyone, like just telling me you have this deadline, and I'm I'm putting the deadlines myself because I know how I work. And for example, I have like the the way I work is really structured for me. We have one problem. I need 1 2 days is to do nothing with the problem. Only think about the problem and how I think I can do it. Like just do some briefs in my mind because I can't start working on it immediately. Like I don't know. It's how I work. I guess.
I agree. I remember when I used to get problems when I was working in financial services, and I would get them at quite late in the day, and I would spend hours trying to solve it before I go home at night. And then I would wake up in the morning and delete everything that I did yesterday because I realized all of it was just rubbish. And if you actually sat back and thought about it for 5 minutes, it's actually quite an easy solution. And then you solve it with one line of code.
Yeah. So I need my time to think about it, and then I start doing it. Then I realize everything I'm doing is bad. But at the same time I'm doing it and realizing it's bad, the solution is coming to my mind. So it's more easy because I have already thought for a diverse solution to the problem. So it's my way to work. It's pretty chill, to be honest, because you don't get that stress, uh, and most of the time works. Uh, so yeah, pretty. I mean, for sure, it's not as stressful as working in video games.
Good, right? That's a warning if anyone's out there. um, Cool. I just want to ask one more question for myself before I move on to the Discord ones, which is around your social media presence. So you are of the analysts. There's sort of a range of people. There's ghosts who I can't find on any social media at all, and then there's the top range of people who stream and who will have quite a big following. You're definitely more on the big side, right? Do you think that's a benefit? Do you do it just because you want to do it for fun, or do you kind of see it as a way into the industry, a way of getting your name out there?
I mean, kind of both. Like I do it for fun, for sure, because like if you go to my Twitter, my Instagram, or whatever, it's pretty hard to see like something League of Legends related, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, but I don't know. I just started. I mean, I was managing my socials since like I had like I don't know like 0 followers, and this is the way that has been working for me for every year. And also I have like a big side that is like I know many big people in Spain, like all the top casters in the leagues, streamers, etc. I know them for a long time because when they were starting, I was already there. Like I've been there for a lot of time, and it's I like to say it's pretty easy to get along with me. Like I just talk a lot. I'm nice, everything just kind of Spanish stereotype. So I kind of get along with all these people. So just they people see they follow me, so they also follow me, and I post funny things, and sometimes when I post league related things are like, oh, this guy knows. And I think like all these things just come around, and for sure then like just having a following, then it's important to get a job or whatever. Like
Yeah, certainly. I found your content to be very authentic, mostly Spanish, right? So I'd have to Google
yeah,
Translate when I was doing a bit of research, but it certainly felt authentic. You were kind of you're not just speaking about your role or just trying to promote yourself. You're just there talking about your life, which I really like, and I think a lot of people prefer that rather than just kind of pitching who you are
yeah. I
constantly.
mean, when you go to Twitter, you have like 300 people talking about a League of Legends game, and then you have me like, yeah, chilling at the bar, watching this league game with friends, and then I feel like people feels more like me, like they are watching
They
League of Legends.
relate to it, right?
Yeah, they're like, yeah, this guy is the same than us, like, and then that's why I think people like me, yeah,
They follow you. We'll say that.
yeah.
Then you don't have to
I
quotation mark it.
Yeah, I mean they follow me, but they also like me because then when I go with whatever like event in Spain or whatever, like people comes to me like really like not like we are close, but they with some other viewers they feel like a bit more intimidated, and with me it's like this guy is just like I don't know, he's as stupid as us. So
Fair enough. All right, we'll move on to the Discord questions. This one I think is quite interesting, which comes up occasionally, which is, do you think the meta is more flexible than what we're seeing on stage? And then I will add my own side to it and say, do you think if there is more flexibility in the meta, do you think we can unlock that with data?
I mean, there's more flexibility for sure, but it's pretty hard to do it because I mean you're playing 2 games a week and you're training 4 days. Oh, and if it's a new patch, first 2 days are just like figuring out what kind of works for yourself, and the other two are just like real practice. So it's pretty hard to structure like a training system in League of Legends. Like I don't think the way we are doing is optimal, but right now I don't see other way to do it. Like maybe I don't know. Like this are really big problem from a lot of years ago, and I think like most of the coaching staff people that have thought about this, but also it's really hard to change because you will have to change like at least like 4 teams like at the same time, because if not it wouldn't work, because you have to pair schedules because you always need other team to train. And if could be like the flexibility with the data, maybe it's something we can help. And I think in some sense I've been doing it in the past, because I've been working with last 2 years, especially I've been working with people that values a lot the data, and we have been working a lot in this kind of matchups, statistics, like presence, and all of this, just trying to have a solution. All the time we have this kind of peaks that feels that there's no counter and we have to ban it, for example. And I've been working with a lot of people that we have been investing a lot of time in these things, is to see if it's really that OP that we have to just ban it, or I mean, we have like 150 champions in league. For sure, there's something we can do about it, like. And a lot of times we have been the team that has just show something that is good into these things. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard because of the schedules and everything, I would say.
Yeah. Do you find it easy to speak to players and coaches about what the data is showing you? So if you find, let's say that there's a pick that you're worried about for a weekend game, and you have a really good counter that you've identified through the data, do you find it easy to go up to the teams and players, coaches, and say, I think you should be playing this?
Uh Coaches for sure. Like it's like this year, for example, with the strategic coach we have in CLG is Christian. I've been like talking a lot about data with him like every day. Uh, Players too. I mean, it depends on my relationship with them. I don't have any problem on suggesting things. But the thing is, most of the time, it's fine. You have a counter, but you have to be really good on this counter to be able to play it. Like it's not like some magical thing like, oh, this is really insane counter. You win the game. No, you have to be as a really good with a champ, and the player have to feel comfortable and everything. So I think that's why it's really hard to play these things, because you don't have enough time to just like play a champ, discover how to play these matchups and everything, because it's a lot of work to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. There's way more factors than this counters that. I mean, you always see it in the sort of the Twitch comments and stuff. Why don't they just pick this?
Yeah.
Why don't they just pick that? There's so many different factors that go into the power of a draft. It's my main research area. It's insane the amount of stuff that you have to consider and balance out. So it's not really a surprise that there isn't the obvious answer is usually not the obvious answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that is, no, but this draft could be better. I don't know why they did that. I mean, sometimes you have to think that every team has their own conditions, like, and every team has their own priorities because of the team, the players, or whatever, or even because they feel the game the same way, and sometimes it's wrong, and but it is what it is. And sometimes you do a bad draft because you are biased because of all other things. Most of the people don't understand this because they have not been in a competitive environment, and it's really hard to understand without it.
Yeah, they're also not seeing behind the scenes, right? So you could have a draft
Yeah.
that has just felt really good in scrims the last few times you've played it, and that obviously will give you a good reason to then take it on stage. but because no one else sees those scrims, they may say, where has this come from? But actually, it's something they've practiced and they're confident with. And sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
You know, nothing's guaranteed, no matter the draft. Oh, one question I'm interested in taking from the Discord, which we'll try expanding on a bit, is about the job market for new esports analysts coming in. So they're asking if it's a growing scene or if it's still too small for people to consider. So I think what they mean is, how competitive is it to become an analyst, not just for the LEC, LCS, but also for these kind of lower leagues as well?
I mean, I think lately it has become like pretty competitive, to be honest, at least in Spain. Like, I feel like there's more people interested in the role and people just coming in. I mean, I've had like a lot of people asking me like things like I mean, I've had people asking me about question about analysts like for a long time, but in the last year and a half or 2 years, I think I have like a lot of more people. Like, it's insane. Also, I did like some kind of analyst course, like we like with a company in Spain, and we had like a kind of bunch of people like that were like really interested, and people like who took the course. And I feel like at the moment it's like pretty competitive, but I feel like the difference between like the people that is just like coming in and the people that is already in, that is that the people that is already in a team or whatever knows better what they have to do, because they talk with more people, I mean, game related, and got more feedback and everything. And that's why most of the time you see like the same people kind of rotating, because there's a lot of people that don't have a job in esports, even in ERLs or whatever, that is really good. For example, this guy that is now in Rogue, Arces, is like this the Polish guy. He was nowhere like 2 years ago. Because I remember I talked with him like 2 years ago. I was in Misfits, and I was talking with him. He was doing like some kind of data related things, and I told him, okay, this is really good, to be honest. You have to find a way that this is more visual, because at the moment his work was pure data, and I was like, find a way that this is more attractive, because if not, this, uh, you know, I get bored. And if me, that other kind of data guy, get bored, just imagine a player or a coach, you know. And this guy was really insane doing his thing, and he improved what he was doing in the with the game related data, and he become really good. He's now in Row. So I mean, there's a lot of good people, I feel like, but they lack kind of a guidance or something.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I've seen a big influx of people who are reaching out and saying, I don't know where to get started. I don't know what to do. And I think that's a really good piece of advice is start creating content, right? Just build something and show it off. And people like Fire will be able to comment and say it's not visual enough, or people like me will say there's not enough data. And then eventually you'll end up getting a product that is worth looking at. And then once that kind of hits the rounds, you'll get a name for yourself. And it's a great way to find your way in and also learn along the way as well. Do you have any other final tips for people who are trying to take the plunge, become an analyst, who maybe have just graduated, have zero connections, really starting afresh?
Yeah, just pay my course.
I'll link it below in case anyone does actually want to take a look at the course. Awesome. And for the poor people who can't afford your course, what?
I don't know. It's just like just tell to a lot of people. Like, for me, it's like just do it, the job you feel like you kind of want to do, then show to people that this are really working in a team. More than 50% of the time, they will answer you and will say, okay, maybe you should change this. I mean, I will answer. I will answer you for sure. Like, the only people I don't answer in my DMs when they come is like people, hey, can you show me your work? Can you please link me some
Yeah,
old
right.
work? that people is thinking, shut the fuck up. Like, don't bother me. But all the people that is like asking for like, hey, I did this and I think is good. Uh, how do you think it could be better or more attractive or whatever? And I will be pleased to help you. And in the same way, I know that there's a lot of people that will be pleased to help you. Like for example, like I know a lot of other analysts, but also coaches. You know, that it's not that difficult to reach that people.
Yeah, agreed. Create useful things, be humble, accept criticism, try getting better. I mean, these are all
Yeah.
perfect things to take forward. So, if you are listening and this is something you're looking to do, then pay attention because that's incredibly important. We will close with our final question. I'll put you on the spot on this one and ask what your favorite statistic is.
Favorite statistic. Ooh.
Yeah, if you need a second to think, mine is the difference between your lane's gold and the entirety of the enemy teams, because I don't like goal difference because I think it's too isolated to the 1v1, which ends up not mattering after 12 minutes. So whenever I look at players' performance, I say, what is the difference between their gold and the average on the enemy team's gold? And then I know what position they are in to carry that game.
I mean, I think the one I pretty much like the most is jungle proximity. I think is easy and is I don't know, it's really easy and is one of the most accurate. I would say, you know, like it's doesn't have too much. Everyone can see the jungle proximity stat and say, oh, okay, this jungler is more towards top. You know, it's not that easy, not that hard to understand, and has a decent value in my opinion.
Yeah, it's also not available for most people who are trying to make it. So it's not available. You can't
Yeah,
create it from the right API. So it's kind of a secret weapon of the pro
yeah.
analyst is being able to be able to calculate your proximity. So I really like that one. Awesome. Is there any places you want to plug, Twitters or Instagrams or whatnot?
I don't know, just my Twitter. This is fire with the one instead of an I. I mean, when I say my Twitter, sometimes I think like it's pretty hard to say because there's the one in the middle.
Right.
But then I look in Twitter and it's like, oh, it looks so cool. So I think it's 100% worth it.
It is, especially. I'll link it in the comment below as well, so you will be able to find it if you weren't sure what we meant when we said one in there. Awesome, thank you very much, Vi. I really appreciate you coming out and spending the time talking to me. I've learned a load. I'm sure people have learned a load from you.
No, no worries. Thank you for inviting me.
Anytime. Right. Speak soon. Bye.